I finally managed to find a secondary throwing weapon that I legitimately like and enjoy using. And today we're gonna be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 10 secondary weapon. As always, my name is Leyzar and I'm gonna present you with a cheap build, something affordable that anybody can build, but of course we also have the classic in-game setup with the Riven. That being said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides follow a new player friendly approach, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So if you're a veteran of the game and already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Spira Prime. Let's begin by having a look at how the weapon behaves without any mods equipped, and for that I'm simply gonna be taking a couple of free shots. The Spira Prime is a secondary throwing weapon, so you will have to deal with the projectile travel path, travel time, and there's also a bit of a drop off. Now you do have an underhand throw and an overhand throw, and you will see that they kinda land mostly in the same place, but they do have different paths. Take a look at the white energy glowing away from these, I don't know what they are, impaling spikes of death. In any case, the fire rate by default is a tad sluggish, but the reload is quite quick. Let's jump into stats to see precisely what we're dealing with. First of all, we got a mod capacity of 60 out of 60, and if your Spira or Spira Prime has only 30 out of 30, jump into actions and install the Auto King Catalyst. This one can be found from alerts, invasions, or if you're lucky, from the daily sortie. And you can also pay 20 plat to have this one installed. Next, my weapon has been formatted a total of 4 times, but this was done only for the purpose of testing. For the weapon builds, I'm recommending you guys 2 free format of maximum 3 will be more than enough. That is because the Spira Prime by default does come with 2 V symbols or mod rise, so simply add 2 more. The accuracy is 100, but again, you gotta contend with the travel time, drop off, and so on and so forth. This is not a particularly easy weapon to aim with, so bear that one in mind. We got a high critical chance at 30% and a delicious critical multiplier of 3.0x, and this is where the weapon shines. High crit chance and a high crit multi. Fire rate of 3.33 with a magazine of 12 and a quick reload of 0.8 seconds, which is all fine and dandy. Also, the Spira Prime is a silent weapon, so for those of you that don't like to use something like hushed invisibility, the Spira Prime is a worthy option. Now here's the weapon's biggest caveat. The Riven disposition is only 1 out of 5, and unfortunately we haven't seen an update to Riven disposition in quite a while. Perhaps with Fortuna, God willing, and all that. Now Riven disposition of 1 out of 5 means the following: your Rivens will be particularly weak in the sense that you're not gonna get a huge amount of stats on them. From my point of view in general, it's not really worth getting a Riven for Dispo 1 weapons, but if you love the Spira Prime like I do and want to get the most out of it, then by all means try to get a Riven, and we'll talk about stat priority a tad later. Status chance of 14%, which is pretty low, but you can still work with this one, and we got impact, puncture, and slash, a high amount of puncture, a low amount of slash and impact. Now that's both good and bad at the same time. A high amount of puncture is not a bad thing, simply because puncture does deal extra damage when it comes to heavily armored targets, for example the Grenier. So that is a good thing. Unfortunately, the slash kinda trails way behind. So for example, if I want to make it into a slasher, even with 2 maims, it wouldn't still be enough to get the slash higher than the puncture. But I am grateful for that high amount of damage over there. In any case, let's start slapping on some mods, starting with mandatory mods. We're gonna go to damage, Hornet Strike 220% extra. Next, we're gonna go to multi-shot, barrel diffusion, as well as lethal torrent. The weapon is a tad sluggish without lethal torrent, so this is ideal. In any case, you're gonna be using this one for the multi-shot primarily, and together with barrel diffusion, we're gonna be getting 180% multi-shot, which means that with each and every shot, you got a guaranteed second spiral of death flying out and an 80% chance at a third one. Let's just call them kunai or knife, something like that. Next, we're gonna go to the weapon's strong point, critical chance and critical damage. Prime Pistol Gambit, which gives us Pistol Gambit, which gives us 120% critical chance, bumping our crit chance to 66%. And we're also going to be using this mod right here, Hydraulic Crosshairs on headshot, 135% critical chance when aiming for 9 seconds. Now this one initially was an event only mod, but you can farm it from the game from Lua spy missions. Link in the cards right now, don't worry guys, it's easy. All you gotta have is a limbo. It doesn't even need to be max rank. Once again, upper right corner, link in the cards. Now when Hydraulic Crosshairs is up, you're going to 106.5 critical chance. So these two together, as long as you have the buff from Hydraulic Crosshairs, you're getting your guaranteed critical chance, which is a big deal considering the high base crit multi. Speaking of the crit multi, Target cracker 60% extra critical damage, bumping it to 4.8x. Now that is pretty respectable. What we're gonna do next is go into elemental damage, and elemental damage, as per the usual, should be applied depending on circumstance. Where are you going, who are you fighting, and so on and so forth. For example, against the infested, I would recommend AoE weapons heavily modded into heat, such as the Ignis Wraith. However, do keep in mind that their elite units are vulnerable to corrosive damage. Against the infested, I wouldn't really take the Spira Prime because it doesn't really have real AoE potential, so once again, not ideal versus the infested. When you're talking about Corpus faction, they have big shields, so I would recommend you build gas or toxin, as it bypasses their shields entirely and deals damage to their health. When you're talking about the Grineer, these are the toughest targets in Warframe, sentience not counting of course, and against Grineer you gotta keep in mind what type of armor they have on. Alloy, which is weak to radiation damage, and ferrite armor, which is weak to corrosive damage. Against Grineer, more often than not, your safest bet is to build corrosive, which is the elemental combo between electricity and toxin. So let's build some. Let's start off with Toxin. We're gonna go for the 60-60 mods. This one is Pistol Pestilence, 60% Toxin and 60% status chance. Farmable from Corrupted Vor in the Void. If you don't have it, you can simply go to the trade chat and pay about 10 plat. Honestly, it's not that expensive and it's not hard to farm either. Next, we're gonna go to Electricity. And you might be tempted to go straight for Jolt, which is definitely not a bad idea. Now with this one, you're getting a shot status chance of 64.3%, but we gotta keep in mind the IPS rules. Impact, Puncture, and Slash, the physical types have a 4 times greater chance at proccing over elemental types such as Corrosive. So when you're trying to figure out exactly what is the proc priority, multiply Impact, Puncture, and Slash times 4 simply visually so you can get a clear understanding of what's the proc priority. In this case, my Puncture is well over 1700, not even close to my Corrosive, so you can go for something like this. Now you are going to be using a little bit of status chance, but it's not going to be the end of the world. You're getting a higher Corrosive value, so therefore Corrosive has a slightly higher proc priority. Still not even close to Puncture, and there's not much you can do about it. Once again, that high Puncture on the weapon is both a godsend and a curse. We're gonna be spawning in Corrupted Heavy Gunner level 120, and let's have a good look at what the Spira Prime is capable of. Now in order for me to take out one of these high level targets, I'm gonna have to empty about 2 clips. As you can see, the weapon is no longer sluggish thanks to Lethal Torrent, and the damage it deals per shot is definitely quite impressive. The Spira Prime has only one real rival when it comes to this type of secondary weapon, and that would be the Fusilai. Link in the cards right now for an epic review on the Fusilai. From my point of view, the Spira Prime is the best secondary thrown weapon currently available in the game, but it does have 2 major caveats. First of all, the Riven disposition is only 1 out of 5, so you're not gonna be able to get those fantastic Rivens, which kinda sucks for people that enjoy playing with them. I'm one of them. And the second caveat would be the fact that the weapon is vaulted, and currently if you wanna get a full set for the Spira Prime, you're looking at about 250, 300 plat or even more. Check Warframe market. Is it worth? Of course not. This may be the best secondary throwing weapon in the game, but as a secondary weapon in general, it pales in comparison to something like the Atomos, Maradetron, Axkileto Prime, Dex Furex, and so on and so forth. The point here is that as a secondary throwing weapon, it is very good, but as a secondary in general, unfortunately, it lacks a little bit of punch. And this highlights a bigger issue with secondary throwing weapons. They're simply not all that powerful. Their main advantage, the way I see it, is the fact that they are silent. But you gotta contend with the travel time, with the drop off, and with the low magazine size that most of them have. You do have a speedy reload, so there is also that. I would like to see a general buff to secondary throwing weapons. In any case, that's not all. We're gonna go to a Riven setup, and I got this one for 20 plat, and I rolled it a couple of times. You got critical chance, multi-shot, toxin, and minus status duration. And let me make one thing very clear. I do not recommend Rivens for Dispo 1 weapons, because as you can see, the values are simply very low. 88.1 critical chance when Pistol Gambit gives you 120%, multi-shot 80% when Barrel Diffusion gives you 120%, and so on and so forth. But once again, if you love the weapon like I do try to get that fantastic Riven. You're gonna need a pretty good roll to make a real difference for the Spira Prime. And the stat priority from my point of view will be critical damage, critical chance, multi-shot, and a harmless negative. maybe critical damage, critical chance, and a negative. Try to get a double positive, negative kind of setup. As you can see, this one is pretty much the same as the standard build. I simply swapped in the Riven instead of Hydraulic Crosshairs because I already have my guaranteed critical chance of 112%. And of course, Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker took the spots of the normal versions. What kind of a difference will this make? Well, it will make a difference, but not necessarily because of the Riven. Because of Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker, that is the main difference there. But as you can see, the weapon is a lot more strong now, and if I'm just a little bit lucky, I can take out one of these high-level targets in just a single clip. If there ever comes a choice between getting Prime Pistol Gambit or Prime Target Cracker first, I would suggest you go for Prime Target Cracker, simply because the normal version will only give you 60%, as for the Prime, that will give you 110% fully maxed out. So as you can see, the weapon can pack one serious punch, and from my point of view, this is the king of secondary throwing weapons. Please stop throwing tomatoes at me, okay? It's objectively the best, at least from my point of view. Now, let's bump up everything with Warframe buffs, and for that we're going to be using my favorite weapon specialist, Lady Mirage Prime. Now let's check out what kind of buffs she's got. Rifle Lamp will do nothing for us, so instead we're going to be going to Pistol Lamp. From my point of view, these amp auras are not 100% worth it, simply because they don't provide a huge benefit. However, everybody in your party will be receiving it, and it is stackable ×4. When fighting Grenier, it's always a smarter choice to go for something like corrosive projection, though keep in mind that Pistol Lamp will grant its benefit regardless of your target. Corrosive projection becomes useless if your target doesn't have any armor, but if your target doesn't have any armor, they're not that hard to take out, for example, the Corpus. Now let's have a look at arcanes, because these are a lot more impactful. Arcane Precision, oh, we still gotta sell this one. Arcane Precision on headshot, 80% chance for plus 120% damage to pistols for 8 seconds. This one is farmable from the third Eidolon down on Cetus, and I believe it costs about 80-ish plat currently on the trade chat. Now keep in mind that when it comes to crit weapons, it is very important you go for headshots. Link in the cards right now if you still don't understand exactly how critical chance and critical damage work in Warframe. It's about 12 minutes long, but it should be worth your while. As for your second arcane, once again I'm going to be recommending something very cheap, Arcane Awakening. I got only 4 of those. This one will get you a 100% damage bonus to pistols on reload, 40% chance. It's not entirely reliable, but as you saw, you are going to be doing quite a lot of reloading when it comes to the Spira Prime. And in case you guys have ammo issues, simply swap in Carrier or Carrier Prime with ammo case and you're going to be doing just fine. Once again, Corrupted Heavy Gunner level 120, I'm going to be unpausing the AI just to make sure nobody dreams of multipliers. Activate Mirage's free ability for a massive damage increase, as well as her lovely clones. Now let's have a look and see what the Spira Prime can do. As you can see, of course, it can absolutely murder one of these high-level targets, but I am running some rather extreme Warframe buffs. Take a look at that, I got 664% extra damage. I can absolutely blow up a target as long as I have my arcanes up, and as you can see, both Awakening and Precision stood up for the duration of the fight. It's time to draw our conclusions, and it's hard for me to say, hey listen, this weapon is good, but at the same time it's not really all that good. So once again, as a secondary throwing weapon, from my point of view, this is your strongest option. But as a secondary weapon in general, it's simply not all that hot. And that's pretty much it for the review. I'm gonna thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you guys got any feedback for me, by all means leave it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below if you wanna recommend or suggest a weapon review. Now I can't exactly promise you guys that it will be done by next time or even within a week, but I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.